Ahoy there, mateys, and welcome to the Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man Tell No Tales review.
That's right,
That
folks.
is to come.
This is going to be the most swashbuckling review we've ever done.
You know, we've done some swashbucklers in the past, but none will be more. I don't know if I can say that. We'll have to get into how swashbuckling we felt this film was. But before we get into that, there's a few things that kind of came up in the news. One that has repercussions into the DC universe, but even sadder than that, it's because of the fact that Zack and Deborah Snyder's daughter had killed herself in March, and now they have stepped away from directing and producing the Justice League movie in it's in its post-production time right now, and have enlisted the help of one Joss Whedon to take up the reins.
Yeah, talk about a twist. I don't think M. Night Shyamalan saw this coming.
No, this is and the thing is apparently the unfortunate event that happened to their family happened in March, and they kind of took time off and felt like maybe getting back into the routine would kind of help them cope and things like that, and they just realized that it was making it worse. They needed to be with their family and things like that, and so they just decided to step away. And it's kind of like, I mean, no matter how you feel about Zack Snyder, it's like they need to step away and just be a family again for a while and stuff. But to move on to the more shallow side of this story, Joss Whedon has taken up the reins of post-production. Do you think this could change the movie? Probably not. I'm guessing he was probably told, this is the vision, just make it happen. Yeah,
this executive at Warner Brothers did announce that he's going to be putting the Whedon touch on it, which is essentially...
Dakota did quote fingers for those of you who can't see us.
If you did not get that, if you didn't hear
I didn't know if you'd hear the whoosh, whoosh.
The whoosh of the air. But apparently Joss Whedon, when I heard this news, I was a little kind of blown away, because it seems like Joss Whedon, they're trying to bring him into the DCEU a lot more. He wrote some scenes for Justice League that were supposed to kind of flesh out the characters a little more, which I thought was a bold choice. We're not going to have to wait to see the movie if it pays off or not. But I don't know if he had a hand in directing these, because Zack Snyder for Suicide Squad did kind of do like a little directing for that. But so these scenes were shot, and that's the work that Zack Snyder was putting into this movie. He was kind of incorporating these new scenes in. This tragedy happened. He has to step away, and I think that's why they picked Joss Whedon, because they were essentially putting his scenes in the movie is what he was working on.
He was kind of already a part of the system, and sure. I don't think this is going to change the movie hardly at all, because what a lot of people maybe don't even know still is that George Lucas did the same thing for Steven Spielberg on Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg wanted to move on, and he had this open window to do Schindler's List, but in order to get started on Schindler's List, he was going to have to leave the post-production part of Jurassic Park, and so he put it in the hands of George Lucas and said, put this together for me. And nobody goes, oh, it's a George Lucas, or he ruined it, or he made it better. It's still considered a Steven Spielberg, and I think that's what's going to happen here. We're still going to see essentially the same movie.
Yeah.
Especially since Whedon already was going to have an effect in it anyway. His name was already going to be in the hat of who to blame or who to praise when everything's said and done. So
yeah, it's kind of one of those things. I feel like this movie is a success. People are kind of be like, it's only because they brought in Joss Whedon.
I know. That is what's going to happen.
And it's like, commence the eye rolling then, / wishing to give people the taste to the back of your hand.
Yeah. I mean, I think we should all want it to be a success just so it's a success.
Yeah. if Joss Whedon became the Kevin Feige of the DCEU.
That would be weird.
That would honestly kind of scare me a little bit.
That is impossible because that means WB would have to give up power. So
Yeah.
but anyway,
But it was supposed to be Jeff Johns, and it's like he's had like no input in the Justice League movie. It seems he's all busy prepping these other things, which supposedly is going to happen.
we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. Another thing that was kind of a shock in one sense, but not another sense, since he was 89, was Roger Moore passed away, who is a lot of people of a certain generation's, their favorite James Bond. He's a lot of people's favorite James Bond.
Yeah.
Even more so than Sean Connery or, really Sean Connery. Today it was like Daniel Craig is the only James Bond, just things like that. But nobody ever seems to rush to Timothy Dalton's side.
Yeah.
I wonder why. Yeah, so I mean, there you go. Roger Moore, he really had two big things to his resume, and it would be James Bond, and then he was in a TV show called The Saint. That was basically his audition to be James Bond in a lot of ways.
Yeah, oddly enough, I remember hearing that he was offered the role of James Bond when he was younger, but he turned her down because he
I
didn't
heard
think
that
he
too.
was ready for it. And then as he was entering that time in his life, and it's like you got to start thinking about retirement. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go do these action movies now,
Yeah.
where I'm constantly getting the woman."
He was the original Liam Neeson, except Liam Neeson in his action movies never gets a woman. Well, I guess Famke Johnson kind of in the Taken series, but the ages are all screwy in those because Maggie Grace is supposed to be playing a teenager and she's like 25.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we lost to James Bond, and man, Sean Connery just keeps on kicking. He's still alive, enjoying retirement, swimming in a pool full of his LXG money. Because that's what he made his money on. It's LXG. And the sequel we're all still waiting for.
The one that will never happen.
The one that'll never happen. So
maybe in a perfect world.
yeah, those are a few things. But before we drag out too far into the abyss that is the news and speculations, I think what we're going to do is jump right into our review now of Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Which all I could think of was Dead Men Tell No Tales was said before they even gave the title of the movie, and all I could think of was, man, that was pretty early in the movie for the CinemaSins guy to go, roll credits. Which he always says after the title's been said. But yeah, so this movie picks up, it's most of the movie takes place, like, I think 5 years after the events of the last movie, which is pretty much how long ago that movie was in theatrical release time too.
Yeah, they kind of almost in a way try to act like the last one never happened,
except for the fact of the what happened to the Black Pearl, and things like that. Yeah, Blackbeard gets like one mention. We're never reminded of Penelope Cruz, which we can all agree is a good thing. But yeah, this movie starts though kind of actually in a time before the events of, blanking out on what was the fourth one's name? Stranger Tides.
That's on Stranger Tides.
Taking place before the events of Stranger Tides, and it's this boy there's this boy out on a rowboat, drops some rocks in the water. You're like, is he killing himself? He's doing the old sleeping at the bottom of the river thing that the mafia does, where he drops himself into the water. Well, he's trying to make himself sink, and he lands on an underwater ship, and it's the Flying Dutchman, and you realize that this boy is trying to meet his father, who is Will Turner. And that's kind of where we come into the story, and then it cuts to 9 years later, which is where the rest of the movie takes place, and you have this, I don't know, what would you call him, Dakota? Early 20s Henry Turner, who is going through these events to try to save his father, Will, Orlando Bloom's character, from having to stay cursed on the Flying Dutchman. And that's really the lead into the events of this movie of finding the Trident of Poseidon, which is the big adventure they go on. And he wants to find Jack Sparrow, who he thinks can get him to this. And you have a lot of coincidences that end up being important plot points. There were two things I noticed in this movie, Dakota. There were a lot of coincidences that worked out very well, and that Jack Sparrow is the luckiest person in the entire world. And what's hilarious is this whole movie, they're like, "You're unlucky, you're luckless," and all these things. And it's like, he should be dead so many times just in this movie alone. I mean, he has a firing squad shooting right at him, and because he just falls down, he doesn't even get, like, grazed. I mean, come on. This guy is lucky.
Yeah, it's... Oh, man. I don't know how well, there's kind of that cool... There's a cool, if you want to call it, action scene when Jack Sparrow shows up where he's being chased by these guards and this town. And
this town, it really is like a town.
Yeah. And there's just like destruction and mayhem going on. And it was kind of cool, but at the same time, you're like, I feel like I've seen this before.
It was kind of lifeless.
Yeah.
It was kind of a lifeless action scene. In fact, my the part that actually kind of got me and I really enjoyed was the execution scene, where he's swinging around and the guillotine blade keeps almost coming down and going back up. And there's kind of some clever things like that. But I think that was what we really started to see here, was that even though this one was refreshingly better than the last one, no new ground was really, what do you call it?
No new ground was broken?
Broken. There it is.
Yeah.
There's just no new ground broken. That would be the best way to put this movie. And so I don't know if that hurt it, because the story of this one actually made more sense and you got a little more invested than the last couple of them. Yeah, it was a lot of, I don't know, like I felt like I've seen this, but I haven't type feeling.
One thing that definitely threw me for a loop was it seemed like things were happening too quickly. Like everything was going for every single character except for Jack. Like, why didn't they find the Trident of Poseidon sooner? They're all so lucky and they have all these like resources at their disposal. And
yeah, that was the other thing, is that this Trident of Poseidon, you have to have this, a couple specific artifacts to get there and things like that. But it seems like these things were things that people knew where they were. They just never took the time to get them together. But then everybody acts like, you found a way there. It's like, all you had to do was go find these things that you guys found in like 10 minutes. And that was kind of, yeah.
I will say the probably the most interesting character to see where he was at was Barbossa. You find out he's essentially like this king of the seas because he has all these pirate ships at his disposal, and
yeah, he's become, he's like the admiral of the pirates in a sense.
He's living the life of luxury, and there's a scene where he's walking and he actually looks kind of imposing. You don't think of Jeffrey Rush being an imposing guy, but he just looked like he had broad shoulders and he was like really tall, and I thought that was cool. I mean, if anything, this movie did some really cool shots. Yeah, there were definitely, visually this movie was better than a lot of it had been, and kind of our introduction to the villain of this movie. Well, the supernatural villain, that is it's another guy who wants Jack Sparrow dead, basically. That through another weird coincidence, Jack ends up releasing into the sea to come after him by hawking his compass for a bottle of rum.
And so, yeah, there's just these interesting things. And another main character we have is this girl who everybody thinks is a witch because she knows science. Which I thought I don't know, they were kind of heavy-handed in this whole feminist thing in this movie, I thought, where it's like, she knows things, she's a witch. Like, everybody's stupid. Like,
yeah.
because what's weird is some other guy will say science things, and it's fine. But if she says anything sciencey, she's like immediately a witch. Is that really how it was then? It just felt like they were like blowing that out of proportion. Like just because she knew stuff about the stars, they like wanted to burn her at the stake.
I feel like that was a little. That would have been early, really early in colonial times, and everyone's superstitious. But around the time this movie takes place, it'd be around the time when.
Well, it doesn't. The other thing that doesn't make any sense. Everybody in this movie seems to be okay with the magic of the ocean and the fact that there's all these weird, like Davy Jones stuff going on. But she knows about the stars, so she's a witch, and let's kill her. It just was very confusing to me.
Yeah, David Wienham's character, especially, is kind of.
Yeah,
he has this line where he's like, "Oh, blah blah blah." Legends, myths. You're just crazy boy, and this kind of doesn't really believe in any of this talk of ghosts or anything. But yeah, which is totally real. Ghosts, no, that's crazy talk.
And then all of a sudden he ends up going to a witch to ask her for help.
Yeah, so it's
an actual witch. So what the heck?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, just very strange. The other thing I was realizing, too, was, am I rooting for the bad guy? Or who is the good guy? Like, it just felt like everybody's the bad guy. You're just rooting for the least bad guy?
I think the quote-unquote good guy was the Turner kid in this, the witch, I think, was supposed to be.
Well, she's a scientist.
Yeah. Which, do they say her name up until that point? She does say her name herself at some point, but I don't think it's ever spoken.
Yeah, I think it said quickly early on, but yeah, you don't know her name. Doesn't seem like till a little bit later. So
I think that's supposed to be the one we're rooting for, and I think it's odd that there's actually kind of a reversal of roles. When the quote-unquote her love interest gets kidnapped by the villain, she's like, "Oh, we got to find a way to save him."
Yeah, they did that a lot of this movie. I felt like where they were making her more the hero in a lot of ways, but it was still like they were kind of at the same time they were still kind of the new Keira Knightley or Orlando Bloom, where they're just two beautiful people that, like they're gonna end up together because they're both beautiful. So they're going to go make beautiful babies. But they're going to act like they hate each other for a while. As far as Johnny Depp once again donning the whatever he dons to play Jack Sparrow.
The dreadlocks.
Dreadlocks and grease. How do you feel about that? Do you think he should hang up the bandana?
Yeah, I honestly think he should at this point. Without spoiling anything, we do see kind of a character who was in all the previous ones die, and I thought it was interesting how that character died, and it made sense.
Yep.
But I don't know. It's just like, how many more of these pirate movies are we gonna go through?
They always have to leave it up in the air because it's Disney.
Oh.
But I still felt like there's a good chance this could be the last one.
Yeah.
Should be.
Yeah. Logan, this is not, people. It's not like the final definitive final chapter.
Yeah, when Logan got over, it's like, I think Hugh Jackman's done. He wasn't kidding when he said this is my last reprisal.
Yeah, but with this one, it's like they can probably make like 3 different sequels, just with 3 different storylines.
Of course, now that I think about it, even when characters die, a.k.a. Jack Sparrow in the second one, they just went to the place where he was dead to get him back. Or whatever. World's End. Whatever.
Since this is a Disney movie, if they the character I mentioned who died, they should go into Hades to get him back. and you see James Woods playing Hades from the Hercules movies. There you go. That'd be a great twist.
Oh, man. That would be really weird.
I would pay like $100 to see that movie.
Oh, God.
Like, that's how many times I went back to see it.
They could probably get James Woods, too. He's not doing much at this point. One thing I noticed about this movie is there seemed to be a lot more like sexual innuendo in this movie than I remember in any of the other Pirates.
Yeah.
And it was like a lot of times like really awkward. Like just like it just felt like the guy writing the script is like like he just like thought of something perverted and decided to write it into the dialogue. But it's like subtle enough where like the parents will chuckle and the kids will be like, "What? What does that mean?" But it was I just found that kind of weird because it's like, wow, none of the other pirates did that.
When you're a kid, I don't think you really pick up on that sort of stuff. I mean, we didn't when we saw you see Batman Returns when you're little and you're like, that was kind of weird. And then you grow up and you see it and you're like, how did my parents let me watch this when I was little?
Yeah, and that one was like they tried to sell that one to kids. That was weird.
Yeah, with the trading cards and the McDonald's
yeah.
Happy Meals and toys in the Happy Meal.
I had the Happy Meal toys. I had a couple. I had a penguin one. I feel like, well, they should have stopped at 3.
Yeah.
But they should definitely stop at 5. with this series. What would you I'm trying to think. What would you say were like the positive things about this movie?
The time really flew by quickly. I mean, it
definitely doesn't drag. Doesn't drag like parts 2 and 3 do.
It was over 2 hours, but it didn't really seem like it wasn't, The Dark Knight Rises where you're just like, oh my gosh, what is going on?
I didn't find that one as hard to keep up with. Some people yeah, it didn't drag. That's definitely a positive. I guess I thought everything looked really good. Like I thought everything just looked really. I liked the look of it. Like that's happened to me a couple times now this year where I've gone to movies where I've had no history with the director of it, and I've really liked just kind of the look of what they did, and I was like, wow, maybe this could be the start of them doing more. But the other one would be Kong, Skull Island. I just really liked the way that one looked and the way they did shots, and just made it ridiculous. I felt like this movie was almost the least ridiculous of all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And part of that might be Gore Verbinski not being involved, or his movies were just like really kind of had a lot of ridiculous things.
I think it's funny you say that because it was probably the more fantastical out of all the ones.
This one probably the most magical type things. I mean, if you disregard the fact the first one had skeletons and but this one it dealt with it wasn't just like one supernatural thing. It was like, yeah, this is the 5th movie. If we just keep throwing supernatural things at you, you'll be like, you'll just go with it. You get it. And that's kind of how it felt, where it's like, this supernaturally thing happened, and then this type of supernaturally thing came in, and then remember this supernaturally thing. And I guess the part where it was like, where they really knew you were going to go with it was when the main villain, Javier Bardem's ship, they just had these sharks that they had roped in their ship that they just released, and he said, go get Jack Sparrow and these half dead looking carcass sharks. Listen to him.
Yeah.
I felt that was a time where I was like, yeah, they're just really expecting us to kind of go with this at this point.
Well, not just that, but the ship he used was kind of weird in that it would open up and then lift up and come down on other ships. And
yeah, his ship 8 other ships, kind of.
And it didn't make any sense. It's like, wow, these ghosts seem oddly powerful.
Considering they're cursed to be ghosts. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many. You find that there's a little bit of history with Jack's compass, the compass that's been kind of like help to move the plot along in every single movie, essentially.
Right.
There's a little backstory behind that. Thought that was interesting. Almost like the Thing was self-aware in a way.
Yeah, they should make a movie about the compass.
Yeah. You find out it's possessed by a woman. Ooh.
You just find out that there's a squirrel underneath it that just spins it around however it feels like, and everybody's always felt like it's pointing to what I want the most. Like, no, it's just like a little squirrel spinning in there.
Yeah, you really gotta wonder, like, what's the point with these pirate movies? I mean, I kind of feel like the luster has worn off.
Yeah.
Like, I can't. I'm not like a guy who's into metallurgy, but some sort of metal that doesn't have that shine anymore is like, get rid of it.
Yeah. This one, every movie's a cash grab in a sense.
Yeah.
I mean, the big movies, I should say. But this one felt even more so than ever. And it's like, what caused Johnny Depp to even come back a fifth time?
I think it's most likely due to the string of kind of misses he had.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. I think he's had a lot of misses, and he went back to something he felt like would be a surefire, which this one probably will do okay.
I feel like that's really the reason he decided to join the Fantastic Beasts movies too. Is just like, well, trying all these original ideas isn't working. Maybe give this a shot and see how people react to it.
Maybe. My other thinking with this Pirates franchise too is he just knew it'd be a nice paycheck.
Yeah, obviously. I mean,
the weirdest thing that happened, all the weird things in this movie, and probably the weirdest thing that happened was Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
Being in this movie at all.
Portraying Uncle Jack, and he actually, judging by his appearance, might have actually been Jack Sparrow's uncle.
I think you were supposed to... I think he was a legitimate uncle, which means he would be Keith Richards' brother,
Yeah.
which means that Jack Sparrow's related to the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. The Beatles!
I think it'd be interesting if you find out Bob Dylan was the godfather in the next one. Like
I'm your godfather.
He's some tired old like shoeshine guy who was a pirate in his heyday.
You know, Bob Dylan could be a pirate.
Yeah.
That's another one. I think that's what they're doing. Is find like, who's an old rock star that looks piratey? Yeah, you want to be related to him?
Willie Nelson could do a fake accent. I'd be like, Willie Nelson.
He's already been an uncle, though. He was Uncle Jesse in that crappy
yeah.
Dukes of Hazzard. Oh, man. Yeah, who else could they get? Is Van Morrison still around? Jerry Garcia?
Ooh, Van Morrison hasn't aged well.
That would work, right?
Jerry Garcia's been dead for a while.
Oh, yeah, he's dead.
Sadly. To Grateful Dead fans, I wasn't never really a fan of his.
Yeah.
Mick Jagger?
Oh, there you go. There you go. Get Mick Jagger in there.
Sting would be up
Of course,
for it.
Keith Richards, he's already like the Rolling Stones one. So
I know Sting would be up for it.
Sting would work. He's done movies.
Just offer him enough money.
Yeah, he would do it. I think we got Sting, Bob Dylan. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's too bad. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones that have already died. There we go. There's had Johnny Cash just show up or something. Like,
there's a drawing of Johnny Cash in the
like,
corner.
what is this?
Like,
what is this Southern drawl man doing in this pirate movie?
you find out, you just see a picture of Johnny Cash in the background. Like, that was your grandpa.
Playing like a mandolin instead of a guitar or something. Oh man, well that's really went off course. Off course. Oh, nautical terms. Oh man. So yeah, I guess with this movie I would say there be rough waters ahead. Proceed with caution.
Yeah, this isn't. Oh man, this isn't a great film. It's an okay film. I would definitely recommend this film. Like, if some friends were just hanging out Saturday night, nothing to do, I'd be like, hey, you go see that movie. I mean,
I love
you got nothing else going
I love you. You always come with these scenarios of when you watch the movie. It's like, well, if you get a free red box or you got friends, if someone else buys it and you're there and they offer you a few drinks and some pretzels, stick around. Yeah, but
think you just described the favorable viewing scenarios when you're watching most of Johnny Depp's work. I mean,
that's true. That's true. It's a lot of rough waters. Yeah, and so this one definitely I don't know. I mean, if you like the other Pirates movies, you'll like this one. If I were on the cover of the DVD, it would say watchable. Because it's watchable. Just No New Ground is why do I keep forgetting?
No New Ground is broken. Stephen Duncan.
No New Ground is broken.
Just kidding. I said that.
No New Ground is broken, and it's just kind of a romp in the Pirates verse once again. So, you know, as far as where I'd put this on the list of Pirates movies, I don't know. Does it make your top 3, Dakota?
Sure. I mean, the bar's pretty low, but it's up there, man. I don't know. Oh, it seems like we're trashing this movie. We're really not.
Yeah, it's one. I mean, yeah.
It's better than the previous entries, and
there's Dakota's DVD box, better than the previous.
That's right, Disney. $100. You could use my quote.
Oh man,
or at least some swag. Come on, some Spider-Man socks, maybe
swag stuff we all get. Yeah. Ooh, yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. But I think with that, we'll kind of bring this to a close. There's not much to say except see for yourself if you think it's your cup of tea. I will say if you're still unsure, if you watch the trailer, it gives you a pretty good gist of the movie and what it's going to be like.
I will give this movie one thing that I thought they did well. They actually have a cool villain. Like a decent villain that you bought him as a bad guy.
Yeah, it's true. Javier Bardem definitely is one of the... That's kind of what he does, though. Villains up movies. He's always been kind of a memorable villain, hasn't he?
I'm waiting for him to show up in the Star Wars universe, honestly.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Or one of those other types of universes, yeah. So... yeah, there's that. Do with it what you will. It's Pirates of the Caribbean. Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Should we rate this one at least?
Yeah, we could rate it. What do you give it?
I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars.
Out of 4?
Yeah.
I will. I'll just give it 2 out of 4. It's kind of just right there in the middle. Nothing amazing. Nothing terribly terrible. So just kind of right there in the middle. 2 out of 4. So there you have it. And there we are. And there we are if you get onto the internet. Also, we are on Facebook and Twitter if you want to follow us on those things. And then, of course, if you want to subscribe to the podcast through YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, any of those types of places, that'd be great too. It just helps us to know who's listening and know you're there and see your support. It means a lot. So if you want to do that, that'd be great too. But we're going to bring this to a close at this time. So this is Steven.
And this is Dakota.